what would be, as Pope Francis called them, a bunch of sourpusses. And so we really need to pay attention to this joy factor in our lives and in the lives of those who are part of our ministry teams. So just to recap before we kind of shift subjects, Pope Blessed, I never know whether to use the name when they wrote the documents or their current status. Blessed Paul VI said, evangelization is bringing the good news, right? And then John Paul said it needs to be new in its ardor, method, and expression. Benedict really focused on the source, to go to is the Word of God. And he, the old Pope, is the one who really challenged us to use technology, didn't he? Even though he made the same mistakes I did. I thought you would say an iPad, but I guess that's recommending a brand. He didn't know he was doing that. He should have said MP3 player, but I would have done the same thing, so I'm not going to critique him. And then Francis said the method we need for today, for 2015, is creating missionary disciples. So let's unpack missionary discipleship a little bit more. And if you are following along, I think it's page 11 of the handouts, but you don't have to. Missionary disciple. My brother is a missionary priest. He is a Divine Word. Epworth, Iowa is their college seminary, so that might have been the reason he chose that particular community 15 miles from home. But, he was sent out. He was in Ghana for many years. But today, we are missionaries going out into youth culture. It's a different world, right? Or into the inner city if we're rural people, or vice versa, or the suburbs if we're in the middle of town. And so it's all mission territory in a way today, but we're all sent, and we're all sent as missionary disciples. So things like, getting young people inspired to do a project on behalf of the poor, that is a way to live out their missionary discipleship. Pope Francis does it by connecting people, right? Connecting with them and then connecting them to the church's mission. But first he connects with them and then he invites them, to connect with the church's mission. But it always starts with the personal relationship. And so I think one question we should always ask is, what do we want our people, be we adult for faith formation, children's catechesis, youth ministry, whatever, what do we want people to do after this lesson or this faith festival or this intergenerational, whatever, age group it is? What do we want people to do with it? Think differently, act differently, feel differently, but what do we want them to do? Because if we know what we want them to do, then we are creating a learning, catechetical learning session in which they really are looking at how does one respond. Does one go to their congressperson? This is actually some Catholic teens visiting their congressman after doing a week of mission in Washington, D.C. On Friday, we sent them up to Capitol Hill to advocate for the needs of the poor they had served that week, being a voice for the voiceless. Those kinds of things are all possibilities. What outcome do you most seek? Talk to each other just for a short time. What is the doing that you most want from your people? What do you want them to do at the end of a session that you created for them? What is it you want them to do?